First of all, the environment is totally different. You must recall that in 1994, we were coming out of the negotiations that were taking place involving all the parties. And during those negotiations, it was agreed that an interim constitution should be agreed upon. And therefore, that constitution brought about a government of national unity. That government, is very important to note this, that government was a transitional government. It was to transit from the apartheid government to the new one that would be elected on the 27th of April, I think it was. Now, that was a transitional government. It was composed based on the interim constitution. It was ANC, National Party, and Inkatha Freedom Party. During that process of this interim government, a constitution was being written, if you recall, and the constitution was finalized in 1996, and that government of national unity came to an end. The National Party left the government, but fortunately the IFP stayed on. So you had the government basically of the ANC and the Inkatha Freedom Party. Context is different now.
Right.
What we have now is not a transitional government. It's an attempt at trying to form a government because the elections were not decisive. No party was big enough to form a government on its own. And therefore, this is actually not a government of national unity at all. This is a coalition government of the parties which have not been able to get more than 50% of the vote. And I would like to insist on this. Conceptually, this is not a government of national unity we're talking about. We're talking about a coalition of parties to form a government. And I think that's very important.
Is a GNU a Faustian pact? It's the question, sir, you asked on X. Faustian, my understanding is that it's basically something that is done for present gain without regard of future cost or consequence. What's your concern, sir?
I want to emphasize once again that conceptually we're not dealing with a government of national unity here. We're dealing with a coalition of parties to try and form a government. The danger that we have here is the following, and I thought I should make this point. When you have so many parties coming together to form a government, the question is then what happens of the distinction between the executive and the legislature? Will these parties in parliament behave differently to the way they would behave because they're part of the government? Maybe we should look at it differently. We should look at a situation where a few parties, maybe the ANC, DA, ISP, maybe the MK party, if they so wish, form the core of the government. The other parties probably would say, given this situation in which we are in, certain legislation we are going to agree with and others will not agree with in order to get the wheels rolling. And most important of the votes that must be held in Parliament will be the budget vote. But if the budget is not passed in February or whenever that is, there will be no government whatsoever. So once again, a coalition government, not a government of national unity. We have to make a distinction between the executive and legislature in order to make sure that the separation of powers stays in place. Otherwise, we are having a political amoeba here.